Hey YouTube, I got a good comment from a guy. I don't know if he wants to be mentioned or not, but anyway, it was about the frame and the setup of the bunk for the Woodmizer, and this video is going to include not only that, but it's going to include how to set up for other things as well. Now, if you read the book, the Woodmizer basically says, find a level area and set the sawmill up there. That's the first or second sentence that's in there. So to me, you know, being a construction surveyor, I don't take the word level lightly. So I leveled my concrete up as level as I could make it. It's darn level. Okay, it's close to perfect, but of course in surveying there's nothing perfect because of the tolerance that you measure in. But anyway, within a quarter of an inch or an eighth of an inch, this thing is level. So the guy made a comment that you don't have to use a level to level up the bunk of the sawmill to be able to use the sawmill. Now that's true, but let me just say this. Every one of these sections, like there's a section from the end to here, there's another section. Let me measure them once. These sections from one end of the frame to the other is about 80 inches long. Let me see if the next one's the same size roughly. Yeah, they're 80 inches long. Now, the way that Woodmizer designed this frame is a very good design. They have pins that locate it on the inside of the frame, and then you pull it together on the outside, on two sides. The thing is that still doesn't mean that it won't be down or up, you know, slanted in relationship to the other frame. So when you set up this first 80-inch section of frame, for me, when I read the word level, I want it level. So there's a couple things that are good about making it level with a level, you know. For one thing, if you make it level, the log's not going to roll easily off of it, okay, unless it's counterweighted. And logs are that, so it's hard to keep it on there. But the other thing is, it won't, if it's level, it probably won't roll without you wanting it to roll. That's one thing. The other thing is, because the Woodmizer's made the way it's made, it looks like a cantilever design, but it's not really cantilever because there's an arm on that side that's running a bearing along the frame, so it's not a cantilever design. But the good thing about it, I would say it's like semi-cantilever, but the good thing about it is that the blade runs basically the same height, or it should be, off the frame from the blade to the bunk, so it's parallel to it. It should be equal distance from the bunk rails up to it. That's part of the, you know, setting it up thing, but that should be, from the factory, it should be like that. Now, can this bunk be tilted back or forth? Yeah, the bunk can be tilted sideways. In other words, this direction, it can be down or it can be up slightly if you want. I mean, if you don't have a good area to do it on, and the sawmill will still run. That's not my point, okay, of making it level. So let me finish up with the leveling process, and then I'll explain what this guy was saying. So anyway, what Woodmizer tells you, on the end here for a minute, is to bolt the pieces together, and then take a string. Go on that side. So what you do is you take a string, then you can tie it on either end of the frame. Can you hook that on something over there?
Yeah, it's hooked.
Well, I need it to be in the middle. So just take it around and tie it in a knot there, just to keep it there. So if you see where he's tying that, let me zoom in a little bit here. Where he's tying that part of the frame is lower than the bunk rails. So I'm just going to take and tie the string then at this end. Get me on this end here. I'm going to just tie it on this end about in the middle to get the same thing. Now you want to make this pretty taut. Now if you've ever done any wall construction, one of the things that carpenters do is they'll put a string along the top of a wall like that, and then they'll put something underneath it and you can measure from. And usually it's a piece of 2x4, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this piece of 1x and put it underneath there at that end. And I'm going to take this other piece and put it underneath here at this end. Now what's happening here is we're comparing this end of the mill to that end. We are not really comparing level. We're not looking for level at this point. What Woodmizer is asking you to do is to use this string, and the best way to do it would be, you got a string at that end, come to where the legs are, measure down, and right here I have 1 inch, because the board's 1 inch and mine is level. And then I measure down here, I still have 1 inch, I still have 1 inch, I have 1 inch, and I have 1 inch. So what I'm getting at here is that this bunk frame is on the same plane. Now I know that this is level because the concrete's level, and I leveled this up once before with a 4-foot level. But this is how Woodmizer wants you to set it up. In other words, make it fairly level, okay? That's what they tell you. Now this guy's saying you don't need to use a level. I don't know why he's against a level. I think using a level would be a good idea. But anyway, you don't have to have it level with a level. As long as you put a string on there, and what you're after is you're after every 80-inch long frame to be on the same plane with one another. So what I'm saying is if this thing was tilted down, okay, slightly, let's say that side was a 1/2 inch low, it's going to be a 1/2 inch low all the way over there if we were talking about level. Okay, but as long as it's on the same plane, the Woodmizer, because of the way it's designed, is going to cut flat according to the bunk rails. Okay, if everything's set up right. So it doesn't matter if it's twisted that way or this way. Okay, the Woodmizer is going to cut perpendicular to the bunk rails. So as long as you use the bunk rails as your guide, okay, and these stops are on a 90 to the bunk rail, okay, a 90-degree angle to the bunk rail, you'll get nice, flat, straight cut boards from that. But what's the purpose for me now? This is my own quirk. Why would I want to put something not level in both directions when I have the ability to do it? I mean, a level is, if you don't have a level in your toolbox, in my opinion, man, you don't have a toolbox yet, okay? That's like not even having a crescent wrench. If you don't have a crescent wrench, you can barely call yourself a mechanic. But the point is that I have the ability to make it level. So I made the concrete level. I used the same thickness boards, basically put them down, and then I made the legs level. And I did this very simply by taking the first one after I had the 6x6s down. I did it very simply by setting this rail down, adjusting these two legs. I work with one side. I put the level on the rail here. And when this rail was level, then I put the level this direction, and I leveled those two legs until it was level this way. So once it's level this way, and it's level that way, and it's all welded together, that side's pretty much level. So then I checked it, and it was level. So once I had that level, I just laid up the next side, and I took the level and went across the seam here halfway, and that gave me a really rough but very close way of leveling this up. Now again, the guy in the comments said you don't have to have it level. This is true. You don't have to have it level with a level if you don't want to. But I just can't figure out why you'd not want to when, if it's level, you're taking stress off the frame, because if you have, like say, a wooden shim under one of the legs, and it's in dirt or mud, and the weight of the wood is causing it and the vibrations to settle in one place but not in another, sooner or later the frame is going to be twisted. Now granted, Woodmizer did a really good job on the size of the metal, the engineer, the size of the metal, the size of the frame, to try and keep this according to what a log might weigh, and they can calculate what a log would weigh that's going to sit on here, the biggest, heaviest log. And they've done a good job with this frame, coming up with these sizes of steel that they use, the beams and all. So, yes, to answer the question, you can be out of level, but you must be on the same plane. You can't come over here and have that end down a half an inch or the other end up, because you're going to get wavy cuts then. Now, not wavy meaning like necessarily, you know, like an ocean wave, but you're going to get a downward cut and then it'll be an upward cut if that's how you have the bump laid out. Now, the way they have this cut and everything, you can say, okay, well, the way they have it cut, I can put this together and everything should be good. And like I say, as far as the way that they did things here, let me just show you this. Somebody was really doing some thinking. You see how this cut is made? It's against at the top, it's against at the bottom, but there's a relief in the middle. That relief in there is designed so that the top and bottom square one another up. The top of the frame and the bottom of the frame. So if you're trusting all of that, and that's how you're going to put it together, they've designed it to be pretty much foolproof. Alright, so you don't really have to have it level. It'll sort of find its own level. But I don't trust that, because I put too many things together. I put, you know, bridge beams that were supposed to be just so, you put them down and they don't hit the bolt holes anyway. So the problem is, I didn't trust it and I wanted to start from scratch. So I leveled everything with a level. But you don't have to have it perfectly level. The point, though, in his comment, it seemed as if using a level was going to be a headache or an all-day affair. It doesn't have to be an all-day affair if you know what to do with the level. First of all, you want to take a level, no matter what kind of sawmill you have. You want to take the level and work at that end. Level that end up this way with two legs. Once you have that level that way, level it this way on both sides. And then once you have that first section level, all it is a matter of repeating that again. That's all you have to do. You attach the frame together and that's going to be level already. When I put the second 80-inch section to the first one and the first one was level, I was already halfway there. All I had to do then was adjust this end down here of the set of legs to be able to get it all level with one another. The other thing that I like about it being level like this is I can measure off the concrete. If I have a log on here and sometimes the log will extend past the bump, you know, like halfway, maybe it's halfway here and at the other end it's halfway, I can't get a good measurement off the bunk because of the size of the log. So I'll measure off the concrete and I know that I'm within 1/8 of an inch or better when I measure from the concrete up. So that's my purpose for why I did what I did. But to say that it's misinformation to make it level, I don't think is correct, because if you read the book it says find a level area. Okay, the word level can be deceiving. It depends on who's doing the leveling and what you're using to do the leveling. But yes, the Woodmizer can work if it's not level. If this thing was downhill 3 inches at that end, it will still cut a level, still cut a straight board as long as it's on the same plane. If it's not on the same plane, then what happens is you're going to be putting tension on the blade. Like supposing we're running downhill here at a certain rate, and then all of a sudden we're running back uphill. Okay, the saw blade is going to want to follow that going up and down because that's the way the head is. The head's riding one area and then it's going to follow another. Now the width of the wheels that they have here, the bearings that are in there, are nice because you can go past a bump in it or a deflection in it and still it's kind of like self-canceling to a degree. Now it's not perfect, but it'll actually ride over that hump because of the variation in the width, or because of the width of the bearings, and it can fairly do a good job of keeping it straight. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I think it does a fantastic job with this whole thing. The problem with it is, for me, level is level, and that means that the bubble's in the middle of your level, and you should be able to build it that way. And that's what I've done. So, just you know, in repeating that again, if you level this end up here, if you take a level at the last section, put it across there, level that up with those two legs only, forget what these are doing, just level them two legs up, then you put the level this direction if you want to. Like he was saying that some other brands you have to level them perfectly. I would imagine the ones that have angle irons on them for a roller, I would imagine that they should be dead level, and because they're a little flimsier than what this is, they should be dead level. But again, it's up to the person. I do what I do because that's how I've always done things, and level to me means level. So anyway guys, it was a good comment, and I just wanted to clarify what I was saying there. So if you have any questions on this or comments, leave them in the comments section. And we're still getting rain here. You might not be able to see it, but it just stopped and then it starts, and it's really a pain. Oh, and on another note, I put a downspout onto, or a rain gutter onto my little building, and last night's rain just about filled that bucket, or that pail. So what I did was I have a pump in there, and I can just take the hose and pump water into my water tank if I want to use a loop on the sawmill. So that's just another little thing we were working on yesterday. Alright guys, well have a good one. Bye.